Whatever you do, whether you're young or old, don't ever watch Burial Ground, aka The Nights of Terror, with your mother. My life with Burial Ground began in 1989. I'd been aware of the movie since 1988, seeing it at a local video store. However, since the VHS box art featured only that and zero scenes from the film on the back, I decided to hold off. That is, until I viewed my first modern zombie film, The Return of the Living Dead. After that, I had a huge interest in watching all modern zombie movies. However, if you had asked me to watch all modern zombie films made after 28 Days Later or the Dawn of the Dead remake, my answer to you would be this: piss off. I have no interest. But back in 1989, it was an entirely different story. And for quite a few years afterward. See, the thing is, in the 1980s, with a handful of exceptions, zombie films were not popular with the masses. Horror certainly was. Horror was king in the 1980s, but for some reason, zombie films rarely caught on. Return of the Living Dead was a hit, was not a huge hit. 1985's Day of the Dead made a little money, but by no means could you call it a hit. Unlike its predecessor, Dawn of the Dead in '78, which was basically nothing short of a worldwide phenomenon. In the '80s, werewolves, especially zombie films, were popular, but the most popular genre or subgenre within horror was the slasher film. Something about an unstoppable psychopath, usually wearing a mask, but not always, was king of the graveyard heap. There simply wasn't the interest to see the living dead walk by the masses, whether it was Romero at the helm or some well meaning clone. In fact, it wasn't until the 21st century, with the release of previous said films, that zombie cinema and later zombie TV would be the cash cow that it would become. But back in '89, that was totally different. You only had a handful of movies to choose from. And after seeing The Return of the Living Dead, I picked up Burial Ground and took it home. This would be my second foray into Italian zombie films, my first actually being Nightmare City, which when I rented it, it was titled City of the Walking Dead. Um, but then again, City of the Walking Dead was actually an Italian, Spanish, Mexican co-production. So I guess I could say this was my first truly Italian horror film of the zombie variety. I expected violence and blood, but I got so much more. As the warning suggests, my mother had been in the room for no longer than a minute bringing me my lunch. The poor woman. She turns to the TV, and at this particular moment, Michael is in the arms of his mother and expresses its need to be at her breast. My mother let out a shriek and ran out of the room. Now, most often, if she had seen such a thing, heard such a thing, she would be screaming for me to turn that trash off. She was that freaked out by the experience that all she could do was run and scream. So I was left there, sinking into my chair, humiliated beyond belief. So my initial viewing of Burial Ground was it was something special, but it was not to be enjoyed. It would be 1991 before I rented the film again to make a copy of it. Now by 91, some things had changed. I got a little older. Suddenly, nudity in horror films was not a slight nuisance to put up with because there was a few years there where it was. I did not care about nudity, period. It meant nothing to me. It was just a waste of film. I wanted the violence, I wanted the gore, and I enjoyed the adult language. But nudity in '88 and '89 meant nothing to me. In '91, it started to become something pretty special. So my second viewing of Burial Ground was a whole lot better than my first. Now the scene with Michael and his mother um, was still creepy, still disgusting. but it was mostly just stupid. And the latter scene where Michael actually munches on Maria Angela's breast was thoroughly enjoyable. It still is. Burial Ground is one hell of a horror film. It is also one hell of a slice of exploitation, sexploitation cinema from 1980. In 91, if I heard anyone talk about the film, it was only because I introduced them to it and they became fans afterwards. I heard no one else mention this film. Back in 91 and 92, I had a subscription to Gore Zone, Chaz Ballin's publication. Excellent read, excellent magazine, and he is sorely missed. But Gore Zone didn't talk about Burial Ground during my 2 year subscription. Now, they did unearth and talk often about many Italian artifacts of horror cinema. And Burial Ground was just one of those that was never brought up. So it wasn't until 2002 when Shriek Show released Burial Ground, aka The Nights of Terror, on DVD, that I finally heard strangers mention this film. And the fan base slowly began to grow. Now, as great as Burial Ground is, and it has some merit for legendary status, one name is brought up more than any other. And it seems to me that most people who love this film love it for only one reason, because it's all they ever talk about. And that is, of course, the actor Peter Bark portraying Michael with his intense need for an abundance of mother love. Now, Peter Bark's great. He gives a great performance. He's fun to look at. He's truly memorable. But is everybody missing out on the outrageous sexuality of the rest of the cast? The nudity, the creepy score, the gorgeous location of Villa Parisi. I mean, that place has been in so many horror films. It's phenomenal, and with good reason. It's a gorgeous haunt, gorgeous, perfect setting for a horror film. The landscaping, the structure of the home, everything about it is just horrific in just the most beautiful way. Um, I love that place. Well, yeah, it's probably my favorite horror movie location ever. Ah, the movie has so much gore, so much violence. People really don't talk about that. It always comes back to Peter Bark and his need for mother love. That really gets people going, and I wonder why that is. Because what we have here is one hell of an exploitation horror classic that goes over the top to achieve everything that the producers and directors wanted to achieve in 1980. The Nights of Terror is a fantastic film, and I highly recommend it. And just, you know, don't wear blinders when you rewatch this film. There is so much more to this movie than Peter Bark, and Peter Bark is great, but come on, man. Uh, Maria Angela Diodarno, she's fantastic. Because of that movie, I became a big fan of hers, and I have almost all of her films on DVD or Blu-ray. Um, it's just a great movie through and through. I love it, and I think it deserves more mention than just Peter Bark being in it. All right, we're going to run through my collection.